You're watching SABC News live from Johannesburg. Your headlines this hour. Voting is well underway in the 2024 U.S. presidential election.
A very good morning to you. A very good evening, rather, to you. Thank you so much for making time for us. I'm Olizondo, and I'll have your sport in just a short while.
All right, let's bring you the headlines.
Age America will instead be plunged into
Heavy rains batter parts of KwaZulu-Natal overnight with more thunderstorms predicted, while the worst of the rainfall has come and gone in the Nelson Mandela Bay municipality. There are calls for President Cyril Ramaphosa to declare the recent suspected food poisoning incidents a state of emergency after 3 more children die in Katlehong.
Africa getting more into their rhythm now.
And in sport, the Springboks believe Sunday's clash against Scotland will be a good indication of how both teams have developed since the last time the two sides met at the Rugby World Cup in France 2023.
To begin here, there are calls for President Cyril Ramaphosa to declare the recent food poisoning incidents a state of emergency. This after 3 more children died from foodborne illnesses in Katlehong. The latest deaths follow the passing of a 10-year-old girl in Alexandra Township on Saturday who allegedly ate food bought at a spaza shop. According to reports, the child noticed a bad smell in the packet of chips she bought. She alerted the mother and another sibling who also tasted them. Later, the victim, Lesedi Maboy, complained of chest pains and stomach cramps. She was rushed to the local clinic where she passed on.
And then from there, I was smelling.
Yesterday when I got home, I found my daughter eating snacks. She asked her mother to smell. The mother confirmed that they do not smell nice. I then told her to throw them away. However, she had already consumed them. She went to the toilet and came back complaining about chest pains. I held her up when she fell ill. Her mother and I took her to the clinic. That is where she was declared dead.
2 men arrested for the murder of alleged underworld kingpin Mark Liffman have briefly appeared in the George Magistrates Court in the Western Cape. The 57-year-old was gunned down at the Garden Route Mall on Sunday. Liffman was scheduled to appear in the High Court in Cape Town on Monday on a number of charges, including the murder of steroids smuggler Brian Weinstein. Liffman is the 4th accused in the Weinstein murder trial to have been gunned down, and he has been associated with the private security industry and was alleged to have been involved in extortion rackets. The 2 South Africans have been charged with premeditated murder. They were arrested in Uniondale on Sunday, a few hours after the shooting, tracked down through CCTV footage and assistance from other crime prevention agencies. U.S. President Donald Trump has cast his vote. His Democratic contender Kamala Harris is yet to cast hers. Voters in the east of the USA were at the polls in large numbers on Tuesday morning at daybreak to choose between Republican Donald Trump and Democrat Kamala Harris. Polls in Pennsylvania, a crucial battleground state, opened at 7 in the morning. Opinion polls in the campaign's final days have shown the candidates running neck and neck in each of the 7 states likely to determine the winner. Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. The former president has repeatedly said any defeat could only stem from widespread fraud, echoing his false claims from 2020. No matter who wins the White House, history will be made. Harris, 60, the first female vice president, would become the first black woman, and South Asian American to win the presidency, while Trump, 78, the only president to be impeached twice and the first former president to be criminally convicted, would also become the first president to win non-consecutive terms in more than a century. Our correspondent, Sharon Maspies, joins us live now. Sharon, good evening to you once again. Let's start by looking where you are. Is still voting underway, and are things progressing as smoothly as they were earlier?
Yeah, just after 1 p.m. local time here, Bongiwe, and voting will be open for another 8 hours in New York, opening up at 6 a.m. this morning. So essentially 12, 13, 15 hours of voting today. And of course, they had a week of early voting already. And just to correct something, Kamala Harris has voted already. She's not voting in person today. She used the early voting mail-in ballot system in the state of California. As you know, she is a resident and former senator of the state of California, the former attorney general. So she voted late last week. That is definitely a confirmation. Donald Trump voting in Florida earlier today, accompanied by the former First Lady Melania Trump. And Trump, talking to the media, they complained about the slow process in some of the swing states like Pennsylvania that could take 2 to 3 days in terms of a final result. He was asked whether he would accept the outcome of the election. Bongi, where he said, if it's a fair election, I would be the first to acknowledge if I lost. But of course, he has been casting aspersions in the campaign around election integrity. He has been asked on the record before if he would accept the outcome, and he has not vowed to do so. He also said, we think we are going to have a very big victory. And so echoing what you are hearing emanating from the Harris campaign, that they are also very confident that they can win all 7 swing states. They believe they have a path in all 7 swing states to win this election. Joe Biden, the incumbent president, tweeting a short time ago, polls are open, folks. Don't sit this election out. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are ready to serve on day 1. And then Harris tweeting earlier today, election day is here. Today we vote because we love our country and we believe in the promise of America. So certainly the main nominees have voted in this election, and I believe, Bongiwe, they both have received one of these stickers. I voted 2024. I, of course, didn't vote. I just took one of these off the table, and a lot of voters who have cast their ballots today getting one of these stickers.
And Sherwin, speaking about swing states, let's zone in on one, for example, that is Michigan. In 2020, Biden enjoyed a comfortable lead there. But when you speak to some of our correspondents on the ground, they talk about the battle being fierce, even in a swing state like that one with 15 electoral college votes, and saying that it's anybody's guess because right now a number of people there unhappy about what's taking place in the Middle East.
Yeah, and so a place like Michigan has a very big Arab American population in a place like Dearborn, Michigan, and they have made it, they make this a very interesting contest in the state of Michigan, because a lot of them are going to vote for a third candidate, Jill Stein, for example, of the Green Party. A lot of Arab Americans are just going to sit out this election, and so that is what is reflective in the polls. We see a dead heat pretty much in most of the polling in Michigan, and so on election day, Bongi, where this comes down to ground game. This comes down to ground operation. Who has the better network on the ground in terms of making sure that people get to the polls, if they need a ride to get to the polls, who's knocking on doors, who's making calls, who has identified. The data analytics is so important for both campaigns, understanding where your voters are and ensuring that they get to the polls. So as much as the polls tell us one thing, the margin of error is something to consider, and your ground operation on election day is what can make the difference. The Democrats seem very confident in that regard. Nancy Pelosi, the emeritus Speaker of the House of Representatives, has said we are on the ground, we have a good ground game. And so the question is, does Donald Trump have a ground operation that can equal the Democrats? Because when margins are so close as the polls suggest, it's going to come down to who can get their voters to the polls.
And you think about, for example, a Florida, where we are now hearing that there could be some weather issues there as well. So certainly it is important to then rally up the troops to then go and vote, because ultimately, as you say, it's down to the wire now. How much of a convincing would you have done as a candidate to the people?